You're asking me, is the feeling different in general, and is the feeling different between a man and a woman? Interpretation is a wonderful thing. Through what a person does when they dance, their interpretation of what they do is their own feeling, is their own truth. It's like if you did waacking, you could never do waacking like the girl standing next to you, because that's you. And the one thing that was made quite clear in this dance is that they were a couple of things that were made clear in this dance is that, first of all, it was never a competitive dance, and that it was always an individual dance, because the more of the individuality that you brought out, the better the dance looked. The difference between a man and a woman, in the beginning, there were no women doing it. The first woman that I ever seen even attempt to do it was Toni Basil. And after that, later on came other people like Anna Sanchez and Dallas and other people like that. But in the beginning, when it was there, when it was Lamont, Blinky, no, it was just them. They did it, and they did it their way, which was ultra, some of them were ultra feminine. The dance is done when you watch a Mickey Lord do it. Mickey Lord will twirl his arms, and every time he twirls, it has a lot of power. Mickey Lord influenced me to sit there and develop the dance. That's how I got involved, is by watching him and seeing all the power that he had from his arms to the rhythm of the music that was being played. Let me say one thing about the music and the dance. This dance was created in the gay community, in clubs and discos. Soul Train has had a huge part in I will say promoting dances. Soul Train, you know, they some dances were born on Soul Train, but a lot of dances were brought on Soul Train. Locking was brought to Soul Train. Popping was brought to Soul Train. The Robot was brought to Soul Train. Waacking was brought to Soul Train. They weren't created there. They were all brought to the show. I don't know if any of you viewers are aware of this, but the bump that they did, the bump was brought to Soul Train. There was a dance called The Point, and because it was a nationally syndicated show, it opened up doors so that other people can view. Now, the strange thing about it is that when you were doing what you were doing in a club, the music was straight up and up underground disco. But once you got on Soul Train, the music kind of changed, because in the beginning it was more funk and soul, and eventually it evolved into disco. So you'll see people make an attempt to try to whack to this, to funk and soul, but the original source of the dance, the music, was disco. I just wanted everybody to know, because I wanted to clarify that, because a person came up to me and spoke to me about the Soul Train and the music and all of that. Thank you very much. Will the dance change in the future? And will it? Well, everything changes. Nothing stays the same. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I would want, because I'm old school, I would want it to be disco, but that's just me. I was raised that way. I'm not going to change, and I'm not going to alter my mind. But because I feel like that, that doesn't justify the fact that it should be. You know, I give this dance to young people freely. The only thing that I can give to them is is the dance and the direction and the guidance of the dance. What they do in the history, what they do with it, it's up to them. I can only tell you how the dance was originated, what it was originated on. You need to know that. You need to have an understanding of that. Once you have an understanding of that, then if you choose to do what you do, that's completely up to you. You know, for me, personally, the dance fits disco. Now, other people have danced to house, other people have danced to soul music, they've danced to Prince, they've danced to all kinds of things in they whack. And if you want to do that, you know, I can't stop you. It's a wonderful thing. At least you're doing the dance. But for me, I'm old school, and it's going to be rather difficult for me to, you know, I wouldn't be forthcoming to say that I would, my preference would be disco, because that's the way I learned it. You know, I'm sorry to say, but no, individuals, I hope they learn the history of the dance first, and then I hope they learn the dance, and then once they have those two things, if they choose to do what they do, then it's up to them. At least they understand the dance. That's the first thing that I would say. And the history is very important. The history should come from historical people. That's why it's history. You know, I wouldn't go to somebody that taught somebody that somebody taught somebody else. I wouldn't do that. People can, but I would go to the source, because they're there and they're available. As I said, I'm here to give you the history, direction, and guidance if anybody needs it, and I'm more than happy to do that. But when you start going to other people and they start giving you the only thing that they can give you, which is an opinion, because they weren't there. So if somebody was there, let's just say somebody is teaching this, and they got it from somebody else and somebody else, and they understand the history. If they did that, and they listen to this person and that person, the only thing that they could possibly give you is their opinion, because they're taking what they've gotten from that person, and they're telling you that's the history. I think that's wrong. I think that you can sit there and you can get something from this person and that person, and then you can conclude yourself if it's accurate or not. But to sit there and say that's history, no, you have to go to the source. If I wanted to learn locking, I would go to somebody that I know, like Tony Gogo, Don Campbell, Fluky. I would go to one of them. Shabadoo, I would go to one of them because I know they're locking. I wouldn't go to Shabadoo's third partner that was teaching, blah, blah. I just wouldn't do it, because I wouldn't feel that I'm getting the soul of the dance. That's why I often tell young people, you have to do your homework. Same thing about hip-hop, same thing about Vogue, same thing about it. That's why the confusion is here, because they settle for they settle for whatever's there. And then when they hear what they hear and they disagree with it, then all of a sudden there's a big hoopla. But the truth is the truth, and the truth is going to set you free. Trust me. The number one problem that I see with waacking or any dance is that they don't do their homework. They don't do the research. That's the only problem. That's the biggest problem. Because if you have a person that, take locking for instance. If you have a person like Don Campbell, and you know that he's here, the most that you should be able to try to do is contact him about the dance that he created, opposed to going to 8 other people and finding information from them and then going to him and then thinking, well, you know, that's not what I heard. If you got it from the source, you got it from the source, whether you like it or not. Because when it comes to dance, you're going to hear a lot of things that you want to hear, and you're going to hear a lot of things that you don't want to hear. But the truth is the truth. You know what I'm saying? I don't live outside my truth. My truth is right here. It's in me. I can't speak about anybody else, and I would never try to. The only thing that I can do is I can only try to teach what I've lived through. Because when I teach you what I'm teaching you, I'm not only teaching you a dance. You have to understand, this is my life. I'm giving you a huge part of me. Not somebody else. Not somebody else. And you have to also understand that this is my truth. It might not be Shabadoo's, it might not be somebody else's, but it's mine. When you go to Shabadoo, you'll hear his truth. You see what I'm saying? And you should take that. And then it's up to you to decide what you feel is right and wrong. Because I can't tell you. as I said, I can't tell you who to sock it to. It's your thing. Do what you want to do. Oh God. You want my wishes for Waacking dancers? I'll tell you like Don Cornelius tells you. I wish you love, peace, and soul. Good night.